Hey everyone, Sakurayasen here, and welcome to another episode of Pointy Chins, where I take you through my art journey. Alright, so this is a continuation from last month, where I was redesigning Kay's outfit, and here were those last month's images, where she was kind of wearing black, the thing was in black and white, so I had the outfit, and I liked it. I liked it in this black and white version, but because Kay's in color, I had to translate that into color. So this was her evening wear, her crew member, waitress, officer, and huntress. And I started to feel like it's maybe a bit too plain, because here, for instance, with this one, with the waitress version, here it seems fine because it's in black and white. It's very contrasty, but here it feels a bit empty. So I wasn't sure, like, is that real that it feels empty, or is that just me kind of not, or overthinking it too much? So I made these versions. Tried coloring the top part pink, then blue, tried this bottom part, and what I realized is all this does is, and I had help from Flavia and Bob Meatbag, who are also working with me on this stuff. All this really does is bring your eyes down here where it doesn't need to be. Like, you don't need to be looking at her chest or even at her shoulders. It's too contrasty. And this, for instance, it kind of diminishes the blue of her face. This diminishes the pink of her hair. But with it just plain, your eyes go boop, straight to the top. So there's, in the end, it really was that I was overthinking it. I didn't need to make these variations. But that was good. You know, it's good to get some feedback and figure these things out. And then for Kay's story, I realized that I was struggling a lot because I created this character, and she was probably in her, like, either from early 20s to late 20s. Like, I thought she's between 21 and 27 years old. And I realized I was having a lot of trouble, and she felt very aloof and distant. But I thought if I made her the same age as Miora, then instead of being... Miora is this one, by the way. Instead of being like a mentor to Miora, she could be a friend. And that seemed a lot more interesting. So by making her 17, instead of her being Kay, like the finished, like this huntress or whatever, she was just a person who wasn't yet that. And I found that a whole lot more stimulating in terms of ideas. Like, wait, okay, so this person's not the cool version of what they become, but rather they're the little bit insecure or unfinished version. And I think going from something unfinished to something finished is a lot more interesting than starting with something finished to begin with. When I think of a finished character, I think a bit like a Batman who, okay, all their growing and evolving has kind of been done, and now they're an adult and they're done, and okay, now they go. Whereas an unfinished character would probably be more like Naruto, who he starts out weak, but then he becomes strong, so he's got to go through a process. So yeah, it also kind of opened my eyes as to why so many things, so many characters, especially in anime, are around this age, these developmental years where everything is in flux. You're not quite sure about the world, and your potential is uncertain. So yeah, that seemed a whole lot more interesting. Then I wanted to convert Miora's outfit more to something like Kay's, so they would have a similar design language. And so I did this one. It felt like this part, though, it's too sharp for Miora. Like, she came across, and I made these kind of like rounded but sort of sharp, because I'm still kind of in the sharp style here. And I realized that I'm not sure if I really liked it. It was kind of it was okay. I kind of liked it, but I wasn't sure. So then I proceeded to kind of revisit all the other characters, starting with Miora and then Nart and then Lucy. And I thought maybe they could all have different shoulder pad thingies. So I gave him like feathers, but I wasn't really liking that. And something about the silhouette felt weaker. Like this feels pretty contained and strong, and this one too. But this feels okay, but kind of lacking. And I kind of think the face here works better. But I was trying to streamline it a bit more, and it didn't. I don't know. I was having a lot of trouble with this stuff. Kept his fingers kind of tearing through his gloves, and the colors carry over. So I mean, they're both okay, but I don't feel like they're quite there yet. Okay. So played around with Nart some more. I gave him a tick, so he kind of is like, he has Tourette syndrome, I guess, in a way. But when he gets nervous, his tick is that he squawks. So I thought that kind of adds to his character. And then I was thinking about the shoulder pads, because I really didn't like these feather ones, and the rest of the group didn't like them either. So I thought about, okay, so maybe there's no shoulder pads, and maybe there's these like little, I don't know, spacey little things. Maybe he has like very small ones. Maybe he has fishnets. Maybe he has like frills. Maybe it's more like Miora, where it has the rounded part and then the frills. Or maybe no frills, but the rounded part. Or maybe it's more like Lucy with the big shoulder pads. And of these, personally, I was drawn most to E. And then Flavia was also drawn most to E. And I found it really interesting. Like, the character is gay, so he has a lot of effeminate qualities to him. And then having it so it's kind of like A, where he's tough, but then he's also got like frilly stuff, kind of worked. And then I don't remember which one Bob liked, but eventually he was drawn to E as well. So that's always a good thing when you're doing designs. If you show multiple people and don't tell them which one you like, just give them the choice, and then you get to decide, okay, which one works. Then you get to kind of see their impressions. It's got to be people you trust, of course, but yeah. And, you know, trying to figure out how her thing looks from the side, because I did it from the front. Thought maybe there's like a zipper here. I'm not sure about that. And some random guy. And then I was thinking about their gloves again, and the stockings, and thought, okay, let's do versions, because versions seems to work. You get to iterate and try different things, so I really like that. And making the characters this way really does make it more insightful. Before, I think I thought a lot about making portfolios, and it's like, well, I should have versions because that's what the client needs to see. That's okay, but I think what's much better is to actually make a project and make versions, not because that's what clients expect, but because that's what works. So in this, it's not like it's for a client. It's just, well, I need to see what works, and I need to experiment, and then I need feedback. So I need to label them and make sure it's easy to read so I can get feedback faster. And I suppose that's probably really obvious to most people, but to me, even though, I mean, I've done concept art and stuff, but when I'm doing my own thing, because I'm not really sure, a lot of times with clients, it's sort of like you well, maybe it was just me, but I would often have an idea of which one I really like. And then I'm just hoping the client picks that, and I make versions because that's what you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to give choice. But in this, it's like, no, I really don't know which one I prefer. So I was coming at it a lot more, I guess, from a the right perspective, maybe. And here's the blootworm. So the blootworms are like these creatures that they consume. I think normally they consume like vegetables or algae or something. They turn green, but if you feed them people, they eat them and the meat turns all pink, and then they poo out bloot, which is the thing that's used to make bloot burgers. I did some research, looked up sanguivorous annelids, like leeches and stuff, and then tried to understand how they work. I thought it has this little thing in the front, and then this like creates an acid which liquefies the flesh, and then it eats it, and then it processes it, and then it gets all big, and then it poos out bloot. These are just faces. I don't know what this means. It's tabuma smell. Yeah, it's tabuma smell. Sorry. I thought of making I made one in Wraith where there's like a group shot, and so I thought I'd make a group shot, but I hate Nart. He looks stupid here. I colored them and he still looks stupid. But I also wanted to practice simplifying the characters. And it gets a lot more interesting, so I'm thinking less about like making them cool here. Still a bit cool, like the sharp thing is still carrying through, but I'm pretty much at the point where I'm not making stuff for me because I want it to be cool. I just want it to work for the story. So I figured, okay, I need to redesign Nart. Here's the original design, and then I thought, okay, wait a minute. The reason I'm struggling so much, because I keep saying, I don't like Nart's design. He doesn't look good. And I would feel that. And I would feel like I don't know what I'm doing. But I realized that I hadn't actually drawn bird skulls and tried to figure it out. So I did that, and then, study some anatomy, and it actually works. So, okay, I revisited Nart, changed him a bit. And I was a bit more happy with this. I feel like I lost some of the personality, but I can get that back. Still, it was important to learn, how bird beaks work and stuff. I didn't know, for instance, how they connected, especially the back part. And then this part goes all the way back. Okay, that's pretty interesting. Huge eye sockets. And then they have these little bone holder things where their eyeball goes in, and then that moves around. I thought when he gets really mad, maybe his feathers stand on edge, like he gets his feathers ruffled, and yeah. And then here I was struggling with doing commissions and realizing that, I'm not happy with my compositions and my commissions, and I thought that the fastest way, like I've said this before, the fastest way to improve is through iterative drawing, because rather than make a bunch of pieces, you can just get through all the different options at once in one day instead of spending, weeks making individual different pieces. So I made this quick sketch, colored it, and then I just put it on different backgrounds and adjusted it, changed the composition, looked to see what happens if I do this, what happens if I do that. So kept it kind of blue, and then I get to see what stands out. Made it white, and it didn't feel like it felt unfinished here. So it let me know, okay, this feels unfinished. Put it on red. It seemed a bit better. Not great though, but something. Like, okay, this one was like, yeah, it's okay, but it still seems somewhat unrefined. This one I kind of liked with the bloom, and that really helped. And I've seen Japanese artists do this a lot, so now I can see why that's really useful. It makes it look a lot more finished. So this was a big lesson that, all right, adding some gradients and blooms and stuff can really make it work well with a white background, and that's very easy as well, because hey, you don't have to worry about a background. Sorry. Here is kind of what I normally favor in terms of my own personal values. I tend to go dark, or like a middle dark-ish value. And again, it just felt unfinished. This one I just wanted to use pure black and see what that did. I can't say I liked it. This one seems okay. I'm unsure about this one, but it seems okay. Again, it's got a gradient in it. This one seems sort of unfinished. The yellow one I actually like. I think that's working quite well, and it works with the reds and the blues. This one feels, again, unfinished, but also like this straight line just kind of breaks things. This one feels a bit better. This one, perhaps it feels like there should be text here and it needs to be centered a bit more, but yeah, text would complete it. This one works. So I thought this was okay. This one's okay. This one's okay. This one's okay. This one looks like it could fit on stationery, like if there was a notepad here and this was sort of faded, and then you had the lines and then the binding. It could work. This one seems interesting, but not quite there. This one, the crop feels unfortunate. This one, again, doesn't feel strong. And the shading in the corners to kind of draw your eye to the middle just doesn't seem to work. This one looks unfinished. This one, I like how it matches the eyes, but the crop seems bad. This one, I don't like it. Flavia kind of liked it, but it just feels too busy to me. And this one seems okay in the colors and the values, but the crop here, I wouldn't do that. I would probably extend the crop, make it not so close up. So yeah, I got to see that, well, this one works, this one works, this one works, this one kind of works, this one kind of works, this one kind of works. And it wasn't, like, it took a while. I won't say it was fast, because it wasn't fast, but it was faster than making brand new pieces, because I just got to reuse the same thing. So yeah, I would definitely encourage, if you struggle with composition, I would encourage you to create something like this where you just have an asset that you can reuse, and then put it in different situations and try different things, and you get a crash course in composition, which can be really, really helpful. Doing some figure drawings here. So I think, like, this one I like. This one's okay. Not much to say. And then some demon guy. Don't know. So here I was thinking about that thing where they just felt unfinished here. And I looked at the silhouettes and it was like, And then I added this thing, a tail. I made the thing really low. And it made it cooler because, to me anyway, it felt like it's more classy. And then for Nart, it feels like a bird tail. And for the rest, it just seemed to make it so it's not so sleazy of an outfit. It felt more refined, that it still reads as a waitress, but a bit more high class, but not too high class, but it also kind of resolves the silhouette, makes this a lot more contained. So I think the silhouettes work better here. So yeah, I was happy with that. And then trying to draw them, I'm realizing, like, I'm going to have to draw them a lot to get a sense for this, because the shape language is quite different to the one I'm used to. It's a lot more animation-y. And so I know, well, okay, so this is going to have to go through a pretty long process of working and drawing and simplifying. There's always simplifications, and the simplifications come from time, just from doing it a lot. Here I was just thinking of different ideas. I thought of a guy who is basically many people, and it's like they just switch heads and body parts. It wasn't a great idea. It was just an idea. And then I thought about changing Miora's shoes before they were like this, like K's, and I thought maybe she has her own type of shoes. So I gave her this type of outfit. I made these rounder, colored her notepad, because here her notepad's white, colored it yellow. I think that worked a bit better. And then I sent it over to Bob and Flavia to get their opinions, and basically they said this looks too phallic, and I could see that. These feel too big and too cartoony, and these feel like snow boots. So I reduced the size of that. I adjusted it so instead of there being 2 pockets on either side, there's just one in the middle, which would also make it so the logo kind of gets pushed out. The placement's not perfect, but I would put the logo like sort of in the middle there. And then I was just drawing some random faces, perhaps ideas for other characters, perhaps not. So here I was starting to feel pretty burnt out. I don't know. I just get this way where it seems like after a while my brain just gives up. And rather than fight it or get depressed about it, I just allow it to be a thing. Like, okay, I'm gone. Let me draw what the burnt out version of me wants to draw. And so different personalities come out and draw their own things in their own style, and I just let that happen. Then I started drawing some characters, maybe some creatures in K, what they could look like. I kind of like this one, and then this one was okay. This one I like a bit. This one's kind of Donald Trump-esque in a way. And so I took this one, and I thought maybe this is an animal that exists in the world, like something that could be a mascot. And I thought, okay, so I have this. Well, I should study anatomy then. So I looked up some animals. I think I looked up elephants and hippos and other animals that were kind of like that. I tried to understand the skeletal structure, put some muscles on it so I can understand where the muscles go. Just basically, I don't want to fall into the same trap that I fell in with Nart, where the design's not working, but I don't know how to fix it, and I don't understand it. I realize that not understanding something is super costly, and taking the time to figure it out is not as bad as it might seem. Like, I'm pretty lazy, so sometimes I feel like, oh, I don't really want to do that. That's gonna it's gonna take too long to study anatomy and whatnot, and then it's usually not as bad as it seems. And I ran through a bunch of names: Lug, Iglit, Quig, Kula, Glug, Igam, Fufar, Fufa, Mufa, Snifu, Sneefu. And I like Sneefu. It's got a nose that makes it look like it's sniffing, so Sneefu seems cute. And so it's kept as a pet, and it eats leaves and roots and stuff. So it kind of works as a mascot. And I wanted to make it kind of cute, but kind of ugly in a way as well. Sort of in between. And I made a script for the beginning of K, potentially, like an idea for how the comic could start. And I sent that over to Bob, and Bob came up with these storyboards. And so they go from here, and it's a blute worm, and then it goes like it's wiggling, and then poos out the blute. And then K, you see her eyes, that she's here in the background. She's been there the whole time. And then she's looking at it, observing this. And then one of the cooks takes the blute worm away. And then another one takes the plate away with the blute, takes it and gives it to the chef who's cooking in the background. You can briefly see some of the people eating. And then the chef, Mub, he sees it, okay, grabs it, puts it into a pot, seasons it, and forms it into a patty, and then puts it on the griddle, and then cooks it makes it into a burger. Kay comes, sees the burger's ready, picks it up, and then carries it. We follow her, like camera tracking her, go through the doors. Like, these are doors, they open up, you see the diner, and she's walking through with the bloop. So the bloop burger is kind of the star of the show. You see the inside of the diner. These are windows, these are people eating at some stools, and here's a character who's getting his bloop burger, gets it delivered to him. He picks it up, eats it, and then in Bob fashion, he jizzes all over the place because it's so good. So what I wanted to do is see, okay, can I take his things and then turn them into drawings myself? So like, basically the idea is he's doing mostly the storyboards and environments, and then I'm doing the character design, the story, the drawing, and the cleanup, and the drawings of the characters. And then Flavia was planning to help with dialogue and coloring. And then we all worked together. They also input their ideas about the story and the character designs that I give them. So, okay. Start with the bloop worm. Poos. Okay. Picks it up. Takes it away. It's basically the same thing. I just was doing the drawings for it. And then move here. Pours it, seasons it, press it, put it on. Kay comes, I like the outfit, grabs it, takes it, and then goes through the diner, get to see the people, deliver it. There's an alien, hands the bloop burger over, picks it, eats it, then wow. So I thought with Bob's thing, pretty much I stayed faithful to his storyboard, but I thought in the end, in this one, you're kind of you're close up on the burger, and then you kind of zoom out to him. And I thought it would work better if you're sort of trucking into him, like getting closer, and then you have a cut where it's more distant, so there's more of a variation rather than this one. But like Bob and I have done storyboards before, and we're used to doing things for animation. So this felt a lot like a film and not really like a comic. So I tried to, like, we're just thinking about webcomics and what that's going to be like. And we thought, maybe what if we just make it like a film? Like, you just stick to a 16:9 ratio and go through it. But it goes, you get through it way too fast. There's no good pace. It just, like, like right through it. So it didn't feel good. Felt like it needed to be revisited. But what was good is, like, yeah, we can kind of work with this. So I realized, okay, the character needs to be simplified. I need to be able to draw this character fast and often. And so I started drawing some more sketchy versions and just trying to get the proportions right. I kind of liked this one and tried to break down the character and draw Kay and Miora. And I like this one. I made it all sharp and pointy. And Flavia and Bob like this one, and I like this one. So with the design languages are quite different. For this one, like, a burger has a lot of variation. For this one, it's less variation. I was trying to think about what are the rules, what are the ground rules. So here you have a very squished torso. The rib cage is very small. The torso is quite narrow, head's quite big in relation to it, and then I tried to simplify it. and come up with some kind of a measurement where I could reproduce it quickly. And it went a bit forward. Like the simplification's kind of working. I'm getting away from the pointy style for the sake of being pointy. It's just like what works instead of what do I think looks cool or anything like that. And yeah, it kind of worked. So I took this and then I realized, like with the iterative drawing in the composition, how do you get good at something if you're new to it? Well, you've got to draw it a lot, right? So I figured, okay, well, it looks like I'm going to have to draw this a lot. And I tried this style first where I kept her torso a bit more what I'm used to, but it didn't quite fit. So then I made it more streamlined, simplified, and that seemed to work better. Found out that they're 5 heads tall, or 5 skulls tall, I should say. And then just did a bunch of these so I can keep drawing the proportion over and over again to get used to it. Because if you don't get used to it, you're going to struggle, right? So I tried, things like get rid of the hair, just see what it's like. Different views. Mostly it's the same view though, and the idea behind that is I just want to repeat. So hammer it in. You can do it, and this is something I tell my students as well. Just because you can do something once, it's not good. It doesn't mean you own that knowledge. It means you could have just got lucky. So what you want to do to make sure you own things is like you can consistently reproduce it, is to do it more than once. Make it so it's easy to do it the same way and it's hard to do it any other way. So that's what was happening here. Just kept drawing it over and over again until, okay, get some mileage in that. Then I thought, okay, now put on the outfit and ink it. So I did that. Ink, and then, all right. And then color. So, what happened though is the design did get stronger and it did get streamlined, and as I was inking it as well and coloring it, like it gets faster as you do it, and you find little streamlined things like for instance in the hair, the shading in the hair, how to, like, what is the optimal placement of these shadows and things. I tried some experiments with like the eyes. So here they're kind of light and then a bit lighter, and then here they're more dark and then lighter, and then here they're much darker and then lighter. And of them I kind of like these ones and these ones. So Flavia and Bob preferred these ones, so I think in the end they're kind of lighter, because I do kind of figure it out. But yeah, so you could see here she's wearing her other outfit where she's not in her waitress outfit. And this got simplified, like this front thing got simplified. The tie got much smaller, much simpler. And it's just something that you get from doing the same thing over and over again. You find these little, like these aren't great, so I went too far here, but just wanted to try different things. Like for instance here, if there's no white of the eye, what does that look like? And I didn't like it. If it's just like little pupils. So what I found is that, yeah, just do it over and over again and you will naturally find ways to simplify it, make it stronger. So that was good. And then I thought about other characters. I always liked this guy in the background here. This was the mob. Just an idea for the mobsters, like pig guy, crocodile guy, bird guy. And I always liked the bird guy, so I gave him a name, Speck, and figured he works for Eradicus, who's the main bad guy. And he's a sniper, but maybe he switches sides later on, who knows. And so I thought, okay, let's do what I did with Nart and kind of develop him. So I thought he's kind of like a vulture. So I drew these vultures and tried to incorporate it, but it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like him anymore. It didn't feel as cool as this one. I got the gun simplified and that was okay. But yeah, capturing him, it just didn't feel good anymore. I felt like I lost something. And then Flavia told me that rather than base it off a vulture, I should base it off an ostrich. So, like, okay, what does an ostrich look like? I did some, studies of an ostrich, realized they're very mean looking, and indeed, he looks more like an ostrich. And then I got like this type of shape, and then I just squished it very horizontal, and then he felt like he was getting back again, like the character is returning to life. And I liked him a lot with his glasses. He's got a funny expression. And I thought he's a pretty cool character, like a pretty nice character, but not like super friendly or something. He kills people, but not because he wants to, but because he's good at it, and he just understands that there aren't that many jobs, and if you're good at something, you might as well do it. But it's not like he would, he doesn't love killing. He's not like a cold-blooded killer dude. He's just a guy who's like, yeah, it's his job. And so then, because I was thinking he changes sides, I thought maybe at first he's wearing his mob outfit, and then it's basically the same when he switches sides, but it's just light, like everything's kind of inverted. So it's like white and green instead of purple and yellowy green. Just some faces. Also trying to simplify the character here quite a bit more. So I'm looking for opportunities to simplify whenever I can. And the style is progressively getting more and more simpler. But I feel like that's good, and that's sort of what's supposed to happen. So here I did a front view, gave him his glasses, made him look creepy. Frustration, because I guess that's what I'm feeling at the time. And here I was on a trip to, I think I visited my parents in Vancouver, so I didn't draw much. We took the cats with us, and one of our cats was sitting down and lying on the chair and sleeping, so I just tried to paint her. Random nonsense. Don't know what this is, just kind of out of it. And then I went back to Kay. Again, simplified the drawings, and then experimented again with Nart and simplifying him. And you can see how the outfits are getting a lot more consistent and a lot more streamlined. And that's for me, that's very good. And then finally, I thought of this character. I think I just woke up and I had this idea of someone who, they have this arm blade and they're called guillotine, and then the blade comes down like a guillotine and it chops off the person's head, and what they do is they kind of trap the victim and they demand information, and if they don't get information, or maybe they demand some other thing, like I figured they're like a force of justice, or they think they're a force of justice, and then they question the person and trap them between these two, and then if they don't get a satisfactory answer, this comes it's like spring-loaded, comes out and it chops their head off. But at this point, it's just an idea. I will develop it further. And then, again, drawing the characters over and over again, simplified, trying to just practice getting the shapes right, getting the language, trying to see, okay, how do I capture these characters? And getting expressions, and drew spec with Miora, and he really likes a form of music called gonk music, which in keeping with how with Jazari I actually made a language for the fictional world. I'm actually going to make a music type called gonk music for the music that certain characters listen to, and it's a very sort of obnoxious music that people who like it really like it, but it's not easy to like. And just to have Miora when she's normal, and then when she's like freaking out, just wondering what she would look like. And yeah, so next month I'm going to be working a lot more on case stuff. I will flesh out the guillotine character, and things will get a lot more refined, and I think it's pretty exciting. I mean, for me, I really like this whole process, so I hope you stick with me. I hope this helped, and thanks for watching.